Hey, what's up, everybody? We're here again taking your questions. Thank you so much for sending them in. Today, we are talking all about gear. First question. What was your first electric guitar and where is it now? My first electric was an Ibanez RX series that my dad rented for me at Long and McQuaid when I was 9 or 10, and I just remember he rented it for a month and extended it another month, and then we just eventually paid it off, and it was my first electric. And I don't know where it is now because I stupidly sold it 15 years ago to fund another guitar, and I very much so regret that. All right, what was your first bass?
Fender Jazz Bass.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Mexican. Still have it. Favorite. Maybe my favorite instrument from the 90s. Yep.
Okay, next question. What type of amps do you tour with? 2-rock amps always. If we're flying out somewhere, sometimes we just use backline, in which case I like to use Fender amps, like a Fender Deluxe or something. Just that kind of Fender-y sound, but pretty much always 2-rock. Biggest tone tip? Well, I think is if you know what you're going for and you have the sound in your head, it's just a matter of finding that. Whether it's guitar or another instrument, you just need to be aware of the equipment you're using and experiment with headroom, experiment with not only the onboard controls of your instrument, but on your amp, if you're using pedals or other stuff. Just really get to know it and know what you're looking for. And I find that when you know exactly what you're looking for and you can kind of hear it in your head before it happens, then it's a lot easier to pick it out with the actual gear.
I would say for bass, to think of it in the context of the mix.
Yeah.
When you're figuring out what tone you're going for. Like, take that into consideration. But, yeah.
What about you, John?
Tones in the hands, baby.
Come on. Would you use modeling amps in the near future? What's your take on them? I personally don't use them, not because I don't think they're great, but I just prefer amps, and I prefer the inconsistencies and the character you get from them. I think we live in a time where it's never been better, and they're just going to keep getting better. I use some of the Neural DSP plugins when I record at home. I think they sound and feel great for when I want to do something quick or if I'm looking for a specific sound. But live, I just like having the air behind me, even if I'm at a low volume. And that's my 2 cents on that. Metal or glass for a slide guitar? I think you mean for a slide. I think it's just personal preference. It's just whatever you like. They all kind of sound different. Brass, it's a bit brighter. Glass and ceramic is warmer. Try a bunch of different ones out on your guitar and see which one sounds the best for you. Tips on traveling with gear. How and where are you storing guitars and pedal board and everything else? Well, when we're traveling by land, we just stick everything in a van, and that seems to work. But we fly a lot. I'd say the majority is flying out, and then we hook up with a bunch of gear. So what do you usually travel with, John?
Often just snare and cymbals, and then you usually rent a kit for wherever we're going to and just take it with us.
So do you prefer to check them, or do you bring them on as carry-ons, or do you gate check them?
I sometimes like to just check them if I can, just because I'm lazy. But gate checking is a nice way to just make sure you're seeing it off. I guess you're seeing it kind of right by the plane. I guess maybe it's more secure that way. But
I mean, for better or worse, I've been checking my bass in a mono case. Usually, it's like a P bass, which is built like
invincible,
a tank, so.
Right?
It's never been an issue.
Yeah, same. I've kind of just resorted to checking my guitars in a bag now too, which might be frowned upon, but I just can't be bothered to carry a guitar around anymore, especially when there's 2 guitars on my back. So I just check it and I hope for the best, and that's about it. But I travel with a smaller pedal board. It goes in a suitcase, so I can check that. And I used to gate check the guitar all the time. If I take a single guitar, sometimes I will just bully it onto the plane because they don't tell you this, but 9 out of 10 times it fits overhead, or it'll definitely fit in the closet in business class. So don't forget about that closet. All you got to do is ask, okay? What's the next piece of gear you're looking to acquire? I don't really have anything that comes to mind specifically. Yeah, what about you guys?
Nothing right now that I'm missing.
Or like what's something new that you've gotten recently that you're really into?
Well, actually, I have a whole bunch of new things on my board that I'm just trying out for the first time.
Oh yeah?
For example, I have this really sweet drive pedal called the Broadcast AP.
Wah, wah.
Woo! It's sick on bass. And I also have...
How does it sound on bass?
It sounds awesome.
Let's hear it.
Oh, can I do this?
Yeah. I've actually never heard it on
then-
bass in person.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
That sounds good. What's
And
that one?
This one is also super awesome. I've been using this a lot. It's called the fart pedal.
Ah. That sounds great. Where do you put that in your chain? You put that first, right?
Well, right now it's first, but I should probably have it like in a loop or something.
right.
But yeah,
I actually just got a Lossy pedal by Chase Bliss, and that has inspired 3 songs already. Like in terms of the guitar part, I think that pedal is amazing. It's based off a Good Hertz plugin called Lossy, and I love those plugins. I use them a lot. So I'd say that's a pedal I've acquired recently that I really like. What you got, John?
I got some new Dream cymbals I'm stoked about. Vintage Bliss Crash Ride, and some Bliss hats, and the Pang Stacker combo.
What's the
And
deal with the stack? Can we hear it?
Yeah, it's kind of like for a clap or kind of a trashy effect. You can play it with your snare to give it an extra little clap. So yeah, that's super fun. So pretty stoked about these new cymbals.
Hell yeah. Next question on the AP2. That's the dual broadcast AP2 that just came out. Can each side be independently controlled from a bypass looper? Yes, that's the whole point. It's basically 2 pedals in one, 2 outputs, 2 inputs. So if you're running through a looper and you have the broadcast AP dual and like the fart pedal like you wanted, you could put the silicon version of the AP, that's one side, at the front of your chain, put the fart pedal in between, and then you could put the germanium side at the end. Or flip it or add more pedals and you can put it wherever you want in the chain.
that's cool.
That's the thing about it.
Nice.
Do you use round or flat wounds? Happy New Year. Come to Leeds, UK sometime. We will. Keep an eye out for an announcement. I mostly use rounds on guitars. When I use the rubber bridge guitars, those are all flat wounds. And there's some electrics I have that I think they just sound warmer and better and deader with flats, of course. But most of my lower tuned guitars all have a wound third string. So they're still round wounds. I guess it's still round, but that's not a flat wound. But you know what I mean. The third string is round, which is different than your typical set of strings.
Usually flats, but more rounds these days. I'm leaning towards that more, like especially in this configuration. I feel like it's maybe cutting a bit better in the mix. So I'm in a rounds phase.
There you go. Loved seeing you in Saskatoon. Thanks for coming. Just wondering what magical pedal combo you use for Be Enough. That is the Chase Bliss Therme, which is this delay, which is kind of a stock sound. And the first time I played it, it just kind of happened, and I just heard this melody, and that's like the only time I wrote a song which was inspired from an effect out of nowhere. So that's the pedal there. Okay, here's a good question. I don't have any experience on this. The question is, what are your thoughts on the Line 6 Helix? I have no experience with it, but you just got the Helix Stomp.
Yeah, I just got it a few days ago, so I don't know what I'm doing, but it's pretty impressive so far. It seems like you can pretty much do anything you can think of. There's like a synth generator in here that I'm using for like a pad for broken. I could play it.
Yeah.
And then you can like change the chord. Like I change it to go to the 5 chord.
The effect of that is just like the pulsing thing itself. It sounded really good how you were doing it previously, but now it sounds like the record.
Yeah.
So I guess you're still just kind of
Still
getting to know it.
Oh yeah, it's just so much to learn, I think. But I think it's going to be very useful.
Yeah, I got to check one of those out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, another broadcast AP question. How do you use the broadcast AP2 with other drives? What has it replaced? Well, you can use it with any drive. You can use it with the boost, any kind of overdrive. I don't really think that anything ever replaces anything, but since it's a dual overdrive, I often use something like a Duelist or a King of Tones, so it'll definitely be in the rotation of that. You know, it's not a conventional overdrive like this, this is a Vemuram Jan Ray. It's just really its own thing. In fact, I have it here. It's kind of just sounding like a boost right now. Really subtle. And it's under this rack, so you can't even see it. But I always use it differently, and when I'm recording, I love to use it on the cleaner side. But since I've gotten this dual version, combining them, it really has a different kind of preampy sound that isn't like any of those overdrives, which is why I think it's so unique and special. Where do you put your always-on overdrive pedal in the chain, first or last? So I don't know about you, but for me, I put fuzz first, so fuzz, and then like an octave pedal, or sometimes I flip it around, but usually I like to have fuzz first, then an octave, and then I have the always-on overdrive, and then if I use something like a boost, like the broadcast or whatever, it goes after it. So that's my happy spot for putting overdrives like that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm eventually going to have this in a loop so I can move it around anywhere in the chain for different patches, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on the song, on the context.
I'm guessing you're riding the volume knob all day. Ever had it wide open? Yes, all the time. He's referring to the volume on the guitar. I like to use that as my master volume instead of, if I just go clean on the amp right now. Sorry, if I just go clean on the amp right now, it sounds like this. That's full volume on the guitar. And then if I step on the overdrive, it's quite louder. So I like to stay on that overdrive always, but then use my volume so I get my clean sound like that, but with a bit of hair on it. I'd say there's no right or wrong way to do it. Do it whichever way works for you. But that's the way I like to do it. Yeah. Are you just full volume always?
Pretty much,
Yeah,
yeah.
you are.
Sometimes I turn it down a bit for like a quieter song, but it's pretty much full. Then I use my fingies for dynamics.
Favorite harmonic trem pedals? I have a few favorites. This one is the Walrus Monument, which is a classic one. Sounds lovely. I love the Keeley Hydra. We did a signature version of that. And of course, the Flint by Strymon. I'd say those are my holy trinity. But my favorite harmonic tremolo is my actual head by the Victoria Reverberato called Frank the Tank. That's the best one, but it's not really a pedal. Best fuzz pedal for a Strat, I think it depends what kind of fuzz you're going for. I like the zonk kind of sound, like this. But again, this technically isn't really a Strat, so that's just my preference. I like a pillowy, warm kind of fuzz that I hit with an overdrive, and that's when it really comes alive, in my opinion. So whether it's a fuzz face, a zonk, something else, they're all great, but that's my favorite. Do you still use the H9? That's the Eventide H9 you're referring to. And yes, in fact, on this pedal board, I have a full 2 pages dedicated to it. You can't see it because it's under the first rack here, but I have a bunch of sounds on it that I use. This Leslie sound. I use this filter sound, which you probably know from that song, Heart by Heart. Just another delay. I have some like room sounds. Some more delay. Basically, short answer, yes, I still use it a lot. It's great. I'm using your AP broadcast as my main overdrive. This is okay, right? Yes, it is. Keep using it.
No.
Hey! How do you get the lead tone for Angeline? I got pretty close recently. That's great. I do this exact setup where I just have an overdrive on, and then I typically just kick the fuzz on, which is the king tone fuzz. Maybe kick on some extra reverb. It's a little more reverb than I'd usually use, but that's just how it was set for the song we played earlier today. But that's the sound. Overdrive, fuzz, and a little bit of reverb. And slap. I always have slap. When you play into a clean 2-rock, do you run your fuzz straight into an overdrive pedal or straight into the amp? Yeah, it's the first thing in the chain, so after that is the overdrive. So basically what you just heard is exactly... That's the first thing in the chain, and this overdrive. The fuzz just on its own sounds like this. You hear there's a lot less gain. So once you kick on that overdrive, it really comes alive. So that's how I use it.
I can't look back, and I'm spinning around again. Is how it seems, really how it is. Where did it start? 'Cause I can't see the end. No matter what I say, it's like I'm gonna make the same mistake again. I closed that door one too many times.